Hello and welcome. I want to talk to you today about something you need to stop doing if you really want to enjoy your life. But before we dive in and I tell you what it is, if you are interested in simple spirituality as a route to total transformation and you like my videos, please consider liking, sharing and commenting, and check out the show notes below for ways we can further connect. Right, let's dive right in. What is it that you need to stop doing if you really want to enjoy your life? It is as simple as this. It is caring about what other people think. Caring in general and caring too much. I cannot tell you how much this one thing held me back on my journey. This idea of what will, and fill in the blank, add the name, the person, the whatever it is. What will John Smith think if I blah, 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 blah. We have so much thinking, we care so much about what other people think that it gets in the way of us being ourselves. Take making this video, for example. Inside my head, if I start thinking of some people maybe in my family, some people in my community, some people I know, if I think about what will they think if I make this video, that starts going around in my head and I can't communicate clearly what it is I want to share with you. It gets in the way of me being me. And one of the biggest things, each and every one of us, we are sparks of the divine. We come as a unique individual, part of, spark of, whatever you want to call it, of divinity. And we are like pieces in a huge jigsaw puzzle. Each and every one of us plays a really vital role in this human experience we are having here. And no one of us is made the way that we are made by accident. And then we get to be here and we get to either shine that, we either get to be that spark of divinity that we are, or we get to get in our own way and not be that. And some of the ways that show up in our lives that we know that give us clues that we are not being that is that we are not thriving. And being successful and thriving means something different to each and every one of us. That might be an umbrella term for what is success. But true success is part of thriving. And if you are not enjoying your life, if you don't in your own eyes consider your life to be successful and consider yourself to be thriving, then you're caring too much what other people think. You're caring too much about all sorts of things in your life. You're too bought into things that are not important, and you are not shining your own amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, divine light out into the world. And when all of us can do that, we look around the world and we see so many things going on that we don't want in our lives. There are so many not nice things going on in the world, and we all want to change that. Our individual way that we can change that is by really connecting to what I call our God entity within us, that divine particle that we uniquely bring to the world. All the things we don't want in the world are caused by not following our own beautiful individual path. And one of the biggest things, as I said, that stops us doing that is really caring way too much about all sorts of things that are in our lives and caring way too much about, first and foremost, what other people think. So how do we stop caring about what other people think? How do we actually do that? Well, one of the things that I noticed, as I said, I mentioned potentially something that could happen, a thought that could arise within me that in some way or form was telling me that I am not good enough. And the potential of that in there could be a judgment, a self-judgment, or a judgment of someone else, a particular person. It could name the person, what will, as I said, John Smith think? So we will have something like that arise in us. And when that arises, it does not come with a nice feeling. When I think that, it doesn't feel nice. It stops me in my tracks. It changes what I believe I'm capable of. It changes how creative I can be when a thought like that arises in me. And so you might say that triggers me. You might say that does something that it doesn't feel nice. I have that feeling. And so What we tend to do, or what I always used to do when I had feelings like that, was maybe reject that feeling, push it away, not want to feel like that internally, and maybe even in my actions run from that feeling, do something that, you know, not take the action I was potentially going to change so that I didn't have to feel that feeling. And all of those things could be described as resistance, fighting, pushing against, some kind of, there is this kind of an energetic feel to any of those kinds of actions. Now, if we truly want to overcome those things, there is a saying, what we resist persists, and that is incredibly true. So when we are taking any of these things, when we are trying to stop this from happening, we are actually causing the thing that we don't want to become bigger and become more. We're focusing on it, we're resisting it, doing all of the things that actually give it more life. So if we truly want to stop caring about what other people think, if these thoughts, if these things, if these feelings arise in us that we don't want, instead of pushing against, we need to surrender into. We need to just allow them to be there. And interestingly, when we just allow them to be there, they're rather like monsters or something like that, that we believe live under our bed. You know, when you were a kid or something, if you used to be frightened when you were in bed and believed that there was something under the bed that was going to grab your foot if you put your foot down. But if you actually looked under the bed, you saw that it was just dusty old boxes, smoke and mirrors. There was nothing there that was going to harm you. And this feeling is exactly the same. The feeling is there to warn you that you're going in the wrong direction. And so pushing against it, resisting it, fighting it, arguing with it, trying to change it is more of going in the direction that you don't want to go in. And yet when we surrender to it, when we step back, when we allow it to be there, become almost indifferent to the fact that it is there, we actually see it for what it is and it subsides. And the other thing that you can do, if it makes sense in that moment, is to focus, to purposely focus somewhere else. Like when I am making these videos and a thought arises about stopping or not making the video or not being good enough or any of those kinds of things, what I tend to do is in my mind bring myself back to the focus of what it is I am trying to do here, what my purpose of these videos is. To spread simple spirituality so that people can totally transform. Because that's been my experience from these little things that I've learned and understood and played with. My entire life has turned round, and how much I care about what other people think has got so much less that most of the time now I barely notice it. And when it comes up, I find it fascinating and interesting that that thought would arise, and what I am capable of doing and who I am capable of being out in the world. I am much, much more of me, much more of who I want to be. And you know, having got to this age, 60, if you haven't seen any of my 60 conversations, it's something that I can highly recommend on my YouTube channel. Do go and check those out. Having reached the age of 60, what I can see is how crippling my life experience has shown me, how crippling it is to care about what other people think of me, to be bothered about that, and to make that, to allow that to shape what I will do and what I won't do. You know, worrying about whether I'm thin enough, whether I'm dressed right, whether my hair looks right, whether blah, 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 blah. All of these things that we can become obsessed with. When I get really worried about those kinds of things and what people will think, it stops this God spark. It stops the true me. It stops my desires and what I want really coming through in life. It stops me from thriving and really enjoying my life. These things are incredibly, they trip us up much, much more than we realize. So what we have to do, if we really want to enjoy our life, if we really want to thrive in the way that we are here to thrive, we need to get curious about how much we care, and how much we care particularly, or certainly it's a great starting point, how much we care about what other people think. And if that isn't something that is a disability, you know, a disability to you, then potentially also, you know, we can take that to the next level and start looking about how much we care about all sorts of things, and just notice that when these thoughts arise, when we have resistance and object to something that is going on in our life because we want it to be different, we care that it is that way and we want it to be different, how much that stops us from being ourselves out in the world. And if we can find this place, if we can surrender. There's a brilliant book by Michael Singer called The Surrender Experiment. And this is exactly what he is talking about. If we make the decision to surrender to things that look like they are impossible to surrender to, if we get curious and just see, if we step back and don't engage and don't take actions that are a continuation of that caring, trying to change things out here so that they fit what it is that we are so bothered about. Like, when I care about what other people think of me, my actions out here, instead of just flowing from that, from my spirituality, from my inner divinity, my actions come from, they're much more heady. They come from something that is rooted in, will this person like me? What will they think? What is the right thing to do? It's much more head action rather than heart action. And our head action, trying to be in control and trying to make things go the way we think they should go so that we can feel okay, so we don't get certain feelings of anxiety, feelings about caring and bothering about our health, our finances, our relationships. If we don't engage in those things so much, when we surrender to what is, what happens is our lives transform in ways that we just did not know was possible, and we begin to thrive. Contrary to what we can mistakenly believe, that being in control and making sure that we are always perfect, so whoever it is won't think what we think they shouldn't think, or we won't worry about things that we think should be a certain way. When we try to hold on to all of that and control it, we get into trouble, and there is no space for enjoying life and thriving. And yet when we do this, when we experiment with surrendering, when we step back, when we stop resisting, when we take a very different energetic action. And it is really important that our energy, I hope that it is coming across in this video, the energy of what the things that we do, the resistance, the pushing against, that kind of energy behind it, rather than the energy of allowing, of surrendering. And when we do that, and at some point look to what it is we truly want, a deeper truth of who we are, that is when we begin to truly thrive and become successful in life. So I hope there was something really useful in this video. I'll be back again soon with another video because I just love making them. Please feel free, as I said, to share, comment and subscribe. I will see you soon. Bye for now.